is our pass game broken? Hoping they'll get some 100-plus yard games, and I do think Andrew Anthony is an inch away from being great, to be honest. Oh boy.
Well, let's start here. Actually, I'd like to bring Alec in for this. So,
Okay.
Alec,
I mean,
what are your thoughts on the Michigan pass game? And kind of to John's question, is it broken? What are your thoughts on the Michigan pass game?
Yeah, so from my perspective, it's really weird to kind of evaluate Michigan's pass game just from the pure standpoint that last season, and I know we're talking about 2022, right? Like last season, when you looked at Michigan's pass game, it was really like not explosive. I guess you could say it wasn't explosive. They didn't hit on a lot of big plays. And of course, Ronnie Bell going out with that season-ending injury had something to do with it. But that's also just not Cade McCarthy or Cade McNarma's skill set. So then this year, when they make what in my opinion was an obvious decision to go with JJ to be the starting quarterback, I was like, okay, now the offense should open up a little bit more. They should be able to hit in the passing game. They still bring back Corum. The rushing game still going to be solid. Bring back 3 or 4 starting offensive linemen. So I thought the passing game would be better this year, and it really hasn't been. But I don't know if that's because Michigan knows they can just beat everyone on their schedule that they've played without having to throw the ball, or if it's because they don't really trust JJ to go win them a game. I haven't had an opportunity to watch a ton of Michigan, so I don't know what exactly my opinion is on that. But JJ is obviously incredibly talented. He's significantly more talented than Cade is. So I'd be interested to see if he is put in a position where he has to win a game with his arm, if he's able to do it.
Okay. Dre, what are your thoughts?
I would say that the answer is like a little bit of gray based on everything that you said. I think it's a combination of lack of trust in JJ. I think part of it is due to JJ's, to be quite honest, he hasn't demonstrated the ability to be consistent with being accurate with the football at times. And also just Harbaugh's philosophy, going back to his days with the 49ers, even before then in Stanford. Ideally speaking, Harbaugh wants to control the TOP. He wants to limit turnovers. And he wants his quarterback to take care of the football. If he can have it his way, he doesn't want to have his quarterback to have to win a football game. He prefers to play literally in that box. And unfortunately, when you have talented quarterbacks, or in this case, a talented kid in JJ, it handcuffs his abilities. And you get this, no matter who is in the quarterback position, you almost get like the same outcome, albeit with a variation in terms of how it looks, right? So statistically, Michigan's pass and rush stats probably are very similar last year compared to this year. But when you look at the games, it may look slightly different, in particular with JJ utilizing his mobility a lot more. But in terms of how prolific the passing game is, it hasn't changed. And me and Des have been in lockstep with this since the beginning of last year. That is a problem. Now they've been able to get away with it. What are they 24-2, 22-2 the last 2 years or something like that. So optically, it probably looks a little silly to bring it up. And I think a lot of times people get so caught up in that. Well, what are you guys complaining about? They're winning. But it just feels like when you pigeonhole yourself to play a certain brand of football without any kind of variation in your offense, be able to win a different type of way if the situation arises, setting yourself up for a pretty big disappointment, in particular in the bigger games. And that's the wild card. That's a negative wild card for Michigan's offense. If they so happen versus Ohio State, versus Georgia, Tennessee, whoever it is, playing those high leverage games, we're not able to dominate with our running game. Is JJ prepared to win a football game like that? And to be quite honest, at this point, he's not, because he hasn't had to. And that's a bit of a concern.
Mark, what are your thoughts on it?
I am no quarterback coach, but I would tell JJ McCarthy, okay, this is simple math that, or maybe geometry, that when you overthrow everyone, their chances of catching the ball is 0%. If you want to try maybe shading on the other side, cautionary, and you underthrow, we call them 50-50 balls, but they're probably more like 70-30 balls, and you'll complete. Sure, you could throw an interception. It's possible, but we'll probably complete, 70 to 30 of those, jump balls. So they can't catch them when you overthrow all of them.
Or you
that is true. That is true.
Interference.
Yeah, exactly.
I think multiple things. I think multiple things can be true. I think number one, where I think Michigan's offense is today, is I think probably, let's see, I would say probably 2% of college football. Michigan cannot beat probably 2% of the teams playing the way that they play. They're probably not going to play any of those teams in the regular season. As much as I respect Ohio State and what they can do offensively and just as a team, I think Michigan playing the way that they play today, I think they can beat Ohio State. But what you also said, Dre, I think is true, is we haven't seen JJ have to take over a game and have consistent high level throws. But I also, like I said, I'm not sure you're going to need that, because my thought is I think Michigan can win this weekend. I think they can beat Ohio State in playing the style that they play. Big Ten championship, absolutely. And then from there, it's just kind of a toss-up of the draw that you get. I think if you get number 2 or number 3, let's all assume Georgia's going to win out and be the number 1 seed. So if you're number 2 or number 3, I think no matter who is in that other spot, I think Michigan can also beat that team, whoever, 2 or number 3 or the Michigan matchup is. But I think when you get to a team like Georgia, I think Georgia is the best team in the country right now. And I think the way that both of those teams play, while I do think Michigan will need to have explosive passing plays to beat a team like Georgia, I could see that game coming down to, the fourth quarter of who really makes a mistake, because I think both of the teams play pretty overall conservative on offense. I think they both want to run the ball. They both want to play a certain way. And I think both defenses will probably do a pretty good job of limiting the other team's rush attack. So I think it's really going to be just who can last and who can not make a mistake. And even on the, you run a play action, is one team going to fumble? We saw Georgia when they played Tennessee, they had an early fumble. Now Tennessee couldn't capitalize, but I think that overall Michigan can continue to play this way and get probably to the game that they want to get to. But I also think that if you want to get over the hump, I think having an explosive pass game, I think having an explosive pass game would limit Michigan's weaknesses. I think Michigan would not have one if you do that.